I have, as in the presentation, a diverse background within H&M. I've been there for 12 years, and I've worked with IT, logistics, warehousing, and expansion also to new markets. On a private side, I have 3 kids at home. The oldest one is 9 years, and she is already more aware about the environmental reality that surrounds us than I was for sure at her age, and maybe even than I was just a couple of years ago. I feel a huge responsibility to make sure that we hand over an environment and a planet for the next generation, that they can have the same opportunities and the same possibilities as my generation had. And therefore, that's why I am fully dedicated now to make sure that H&M Group becomes a part of the solution instead of being a part of the problem as we are today. A little bit about the group. We're a family of 8 brands today. We have a sales market we are selling products in 73 markets, and we have more than 180,000 employees. We started back in 1947. This is Erling Persson, who started his first store in a small town called Västerås in the middle of Sweden. Back then, fashion was all about tailor-made. You needed to have money, it was expensive, it was not for the many. So he wanted to democratize fashion, and he started doing this by buying bigger production volumes. He hired his own designers, and he cut out the middleman. And by doing so, he increased the ability for the normal person to buy high street fashion. While this has been going on for 70 years, our business model has not changed that much during this period, except one thing. And that's that we no longer only want to make fashion, we need to make it in a sustainable way. But it must still be affordable and available to the many people. So what is sustainable fashion then? Does it even exist? Is it possible? When we are producing garments, we use a lot of resources, like virgin cotton, fresh water, chemicals, and a lot of energy, and a lot of dirty energy, like coal or natural gas-based energy. At the same time, these clothes have been made by somebody, and thereby created jobs and better lives for many families. Approximately 1.6 million people are employees of the factories that we source from today. The current claim from the climate perspective on the textile industry as a whole is that we are responsible for 10% of all global emissions, which is of course huge, putting up in the top with the top emitters out there. And we have to acknowledge this. We have to admit that we are a part of the problem, and we need to use our size and scale to make sure that we step out of it. So how do we approach this then? Well, how do we continue to provide fashion and still being able to create job opportunities and stay within the planetary boundaries that we already have exceeded as a human race? We need to go from a linear model into a circular model, and we need to do this with all our processes. So I will now show you. We will follow these jeans through the lifespan, through its lifespan. This is a pair of denim. They are designed by our in-house designer Sandra, that you can see on the picture. Her biggest challenge, or one of her biggest challenges, is to know when does the customer want their clothes, what kind of clothes, which size are the customer, and in which store will the customer enter. Because that's what she needs to decide when she's designing and putting the orders for the clothes. So therefore we are aiming to become absolute industry leaders when it comes to artificial intelligence and advanced analytics. And by doing so, investing billions in this, we will be able to much better predict the demand of the future demand of our customers. And we will be able to move much more to a demand-driven process rather than the opposite, driven by supply. And it will, of course, reduce overproduction. It will reduce usage of resources, and it will reduce our CO2 emission or footprint. But it will also lower the need for discounts for us. So this is also sustainable from a financial perspective and makes sense in all ways. The next step then is raw material. In this example, we'll look at the cotton. So traditionally, these trousers would have been made by virgin cotton, requiring up to 10,000 liters of water. But in this specific case, we have used, to some extent, recycled material for the jeans. And already there, we can directly save up to 19% of water and chemicals. Of course, this is good for one product, but we need to do this with all our products and with all our materials. And we're pushing hard to do so. So already today, we have 57% of all our materials recycled or sustainably sourced. Recycled means recycled cotton or recycled polyester, and sustainably sourced is, for example, organic cotton or organic linen. And we have promised ourselves and the market that we will reach 100% of sustainably sourced material no later than 2030. Moving into the production part then. In terms of manufacturing, these trousers have been made probably in Bangladesh. This specific factory where Nasma is working employs 6,000 workers. She has been working there for 12 years. She has a monthly wage of $145, which is for us in this room a very low wage, but it is 50% above the minimum wage of Bangladesh. Looking at it, and from the climate perspective, these are our footprints of the value chain, and looking at the production phase, up to, or at least 75% of all our emissions are coming from the production part. So 75% of our emissions have occurred even before we get the garment. The next step is these trousers have now been shipped, they have been produced, they have been shipped to the stores, and they have been sold to the customers. So it's basically now we are in our own operations. And also here we have a very big responsibility when it comes to the climate. To be able to influence and inspire others, and to be able to put demands on our suppliers, and to be able to be credible towards governments or regulators, we need to be absolute industry leaders when it comes to our own operations, when it comes to energy efficiency. And one of the things that we already have done is that we have more than 5,000 stores, we have more than 70 warehouses, and we have a lot of, I don't know how many offices we have, but we are buying 96% of renewable electricity to these facilities already today, and we're aiming to reach 100% within a couple of years. So it's all about cleaning in front of your own door before you get out and point the fingers on others. Of course, we also ship most of our garments to avoid any air transports, and we also use electrical vehicles for the last mile delivery to the customers in the markets where it's available. We have also introduced bike couriers now in the Netherlands, which have that as a possibility. However, own operations for us is just a very small part of our total emissions, as you could see in my last slide. And that's why we have done, or we have promised, we have created a goal that goes far beyond our own operations, and that is to have a climate-positive value chain no later than 2040. And we will do this by reducing more greenhouse gas emission than what our whole value chain emits all the way from raw material and production and to the customer's electricity usage when they are washing and drying our products at home. Although we have a long way to go here, we can already see that some of our suppliers are seeing or understanding that we have a very clear journey in front of us. They want to be a part of that. They are taking actions to decrease their emissions. Then when we go into the customer usage then, 20% of our value chain emissions are actually from the customer buying dirty electricity at home and washing and drying the garments. So this is, of course, as you understand, very difficult to measure. It's difficult to impact, and it's even more difficult to measure the impact that we tried through different actions. So this is something that we work with universities to create a third-party standard so that we don't create our own claims, so that with credibility. Credibility is absolute key for us in all areas. One of the many challenges that we also have today is that clothes remain unused. And when they are no longer wanted, they end up as waste. Sweden is by some seen as the home of recycling, and even so, 8 kilos per person in Sweden of garments is thrown in the trash bin every year. So we try to see this as an opportunity because we know that we are in an industry that is lacking resources and that the resources will be just more and more scarce. There will not be enough to go around in the future. And therefore we must use this type of material coming back, and we must prolong the usage of them. So all these unwanted clothes can be put back into use by going into our stores. Since 2013, we are collecting in all our stores globally. You can come in with a bag of clothes, doesn't need to be H&M, can be any brand, any condition, and we will make sure that it's either become reused or recycled. So far we have collected 85,000 tons of clothes, and that is equivalent to 425 million t-shirts. But garment collecting is only one of the things that we're trying. We are looking into new types of business model throughout our organization. We are piloting a number of different trials through the different brands that you saw in the beginning. We are also a majority owner in Sellpy, which is a rapidly growing second-hand platform that we just acquired. And now we're introducing it in Germany in a couple of weeks. We're also launching a rental service in some of our big stores. And of course, these, from a total impact, these are just tiny things as of now. But we are convinced that new business models and new ways of doing, of creating income, and extending the loop, extending the lifespan of these garments will be very important revenue streams for us in the future. So what you have seen now is really the lifespan of these trousers, but it's also the start of what we call a circular and a climate positive system. And where we use better materials, we use better energy to produce it, we transport it in an environmentally friendly way, and we take care of the leftovers. And the most important thing is, of course, that we keep using it. We keep it in the loop. We recycle it from garment to garment. So how far are we in our journey then? If it was up to us, I was sure that we would have been ready. But what we need now is a systemic change on an industrial level. Even though we are a quite big company, we are still only 2% of the total fashion industry. So that makes us very small from that perspective, and it really enhances the importance of collaborating with our fierce competitors, collaborating with governments for regulations, and collaborating with our suppliers, creating incentives and good business cases to do investments that will decrease future emissions. So we are really only in the beginning of this journey. We have come a long way. We are trying a lot of things all over, but we have to be honest and transparent of what is really going on in our industry. We believe that with our size and scale, our high ambition, and our long-term perspective, because we are a family-owned company, we believe that we can be leaders through this industry, and we can prove that this industry, in maybe 10 years from now, can truly become a sustainable and trustworthy industry. Thank you so much.